Yo, I'd like to welcome everybody back to the JV Sports Room. As usual, your host, JDino, the other half of the team behind the scenes, my man Vince.
Yo.
So we got a little change in the lineup this week. Somebody that a little different to that Kobe corner, but familiar face to the show. So I'd like to welcome back to the show my man Big J.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Hey, thanks for having me
Back to the show, brother.
Hey, there's nobody in the Kobe corner. Right now, I'm Mamba in the middle.
Yeah, you kind of Mamba in the middle, and
what's a man got to do to, get some shine in the Kobe corner?
I mean, there's a process of screening and questions we got to go through, but you Mamba in the middle right now. We could touch those questions and see if we get you in that Kobe corner for the show.
Man, I mean, it looks nice over there. They're big shoes to fill. And, I think I'm up to the challenge. What you got for me?
I mean, well, let's start off with, beginning of Kobe's career. I mean, why don't you tell us we'll start with a trick question. Tell us what college Kobe went to and, what year he came into the league.
Kobe came into the league in 1996. He was drafted, trick question, you're right, out of Lower Merion High School. Came out of high school.
College, huh?
Yeah, he came out of high school. He was drafted in 1996 to the Charlotte Hornets, believe it or not.
And how many games did he play for those Charlotte Hornets?
He didn't play any games with the Charlotte Hornets. He was actually traded immediately. After he was drafted, he was traded immediately to the Los Angeles Lakers. And we all know what happened after that.
Okay. All right. That's a good first question. Another should be easy one if you're a Kobe fan. How many championships does that man have? That Mamba.
Man, come on, man. He was one shot from the real GOAT, Michael Jordan, but he's got 5, man. 5 championships. Man.
Okay. All right. Couple with the Diesel. Who else was there?
Oh, yeah, you got 3 with the Diesel, 3 with Shaq Diesel. He's got 2 with Pau Gasol.
There you go. Okay. So you're a Pau fan too. So, yeah. All right. So good answer. So why don't you tell me, Mr. Know-It-All, how many All-Star appearances he has, and why don't you tell me how many All-Star MVPs he's got?
He's been in the league for a long time, man. Kobe was in the league for a while. I think he's got 18 All-Star appearances.
Okay.
And
half the question.
I think it was about 4 All-Star MVPs.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Else, man, keep it coming, man. Come on.
You might be able to slide over to the Kobe corner for this session.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. You don't have to Mamba in the middle right now. Go ahead and slide over to that Kobe.
By the way, he's got 2 Finals MVPs as well.
Oh, he's trying to get brownie points. All right, okay. All right, big man in the Kobe corner. You got any Mamba memories you might want to discuss on a little bit? You got to at least have a memory or two if you're going to sit in the corner.
Man, Kobe Bryant, man, so many memories, so many memorable moments, Mamba moments. We all know the 81 he scored on Toronto. We all know about the 60 that he scored in his final game against Utah. Man, I have 2 moments that stand out to me, man. One on the court and one off the court. And the one on the court, it's kind of a dual moment. It's a Mamba moment, but it's a Mamba and Shaq moment, man. I was a big Shaq fan. At one point, I was a Laker fan because of Shaq. And the moment was, I believe it was the 2000 Western Conference Finals against Portland. Game 7, I believe the Lakers were down. And my Mamba moment was when the Lakers started to make a comeback, and we get to the moment where Kobe has the rock and he sees Shaq Diesel going to the cup. He throws up the lob, and Shaq comes down with the big slammer jammer, and we see Shaq's face as he's running down the court and that's one of my big Mamba moments, man, because without that play, without Mamba throwing that lob, one of the things, if you play ball with me, actual real basketball, when I'm a big man, so I like to play down in the paint. So when I grab a board or I go up with a big, I didn't get fouled and I get contact and I make the bucket, I'm always running down the court like Shaq Diesel, with that face from that moment, man. And another moment, like I said, off the court, Mamba moment was, as we touched on many times that I've been on the show, I'm a big, Philadelphia Eagles fan. And not too many people know that Kobe Bryant was a big Philadelphia Eagles fan. And the moment that we both share, as Eagles fans was when the Eagles beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl. On social media afterwards, a video popped up where Kobe Bryant is watching the Super Bowl with his youngest daughter. And, I just see the excitement and joy, and something that we both shared because it was such a great moment. The Eagles have been, there or, and you get let down so often, but to see the joy and excitement in his face watching that Super Bowl win with his youngest daughter, man, and being a father of two girls, a girl dad, that moment right there just made me feel, and then unfortunately losing him, it crushed me, man. But knowing the man he was and the father he was, and watching our Eagles together collectively as a nation, as Fly Eagles Fly, that's my Mamba moment, man. So shout out to the Mamba, shout out to Jay Money. I'm gonna try to fill in your shoes, man. I'm trying my best, and let the show begin, man.
I like it. I can't say I was a fan of that moment specifically because it was the Eagles Super Bowl, but that was definitely a very memorable moment, and you could definitely see the excitement in his eyes. Kobe, role model to so many.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Enough said, right?
Absolutely, man.
Role model, MVP. But while we're talking about MVPs, man, there was another former MVP that just set an all-time record.
Yeah,
Steph Curry.
Yeah, man. He's shattering it. He's gonna shatter it.
He's gonna shatter it.
He's gonna shatter it.
Steph Curry sets the NBA three-point record, passing Ray Allen for #1 all-time.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Man, Steph Curry, man, it's that's a big milestone, man, a big accomplishment from one of the, probably is the best three-point shooter of my lifetime, our lifetime.
I don't think there's any probably in there.
Yeah, he's definitely the guy, man. That's a big milestone, and the biggest thing about it is where does this record go? Like how much further? Like who in the current NBA is even close to beating this record?
I don't think anybody's close. And to be honest with you, I don't think Steph Curry himself is even close to stopping.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got so many years left in the tank. He's going to shatter it, like you said, by far. I don't see anybody even coming close to trying to contend for it anytime soon.
Yep. I think I was looking at it. The next closest active player behind him is James Harden, but I think he's about still 400 off from this current record. And we still say Steph's still got about 5, 6, 7 more years in the league.
So I mean, it's probably not going to get touched unless some drastic injury or something like that happens, which we hope doesn't happen. But.
Yeah, man, and this accomplishment, along with the way that the Warriors are playing, I mean, man, they just keep winning games, and who knows? We get Klay Thompson back going into the 2022. James Wiseman is rumored coming back around 2020, going into next year.
Yeah, there's no telling what Golden State can do.
Sky's the limit for the team in general. Individual accolades are great, man, but at the end of the day, knowing Steph Curry the way we do, he just wants the championships. And, he wants to submit his legacy as one of the greatest players.
Yeah, he's definitely a winner. He's definitely a winner. He's a go-getter. He beat the record in almost half the amount of games.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that tells you right there.
788 games compared to over 1,300 games.
And not to mention, he did it in the Mecca, in New York, in the Garden. I mean, pretty much
the same place he actually dropped his first 50-point game.
Yeah, wow.
So, I mean, that guy, he loves playing in the Garden, I think.
That's out to Curry, man. Hey. It's the Mecca, man. It's the Garden. It's the most legendary arena for a reason. And to do it there, it's like it almost writes itself, man.
Yeah, exactly. It's
wild.
A script, man.
Yeah.
But Steph Curry, he's one of a few guys in this MVP mix.
Yeah.
This point in time, Jokic is the reigning MVP, and he's still doing it over there in Denver. He had a huge triple-double the other night, 39, 11, and 11, I think.
Yep.
This guy Giannis, he's still a Greek freak, right?
Yeah, man. And the cream is rising to the top, like we talked about, a couple weeks ago.
Right.
The Giannis is coming up, and
then I like the way both KD and LeBron have actually made mention of this being their best versions of themselves.
Yeah, man, we're seeing it right now. Kevin Durant is leading the league in points per game. Right now, he's averaging 29.4. When we round that up, it's 30 points per game, man, and he's doing it at a high level. He's playing 36 minutes, coming off that Achilles tear. That we thought was going to ruin his career. He's an all-star level. He's a legendary level player, and right now, the way the Brooklyn Nets are playing,
number one in the East,
with James Harden, doing it all, point guard, shooting guard, whatever. And with the rumors that, maybe, potentially, Kyrie Irving in the mix.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, I mean, but who knows?
I see it.
We got to mention it. I mean, it's hard to find another player. You mentioned LeBron. LeBron has been playing out of his mind since he's come back from his layoff, his injury.
Exactly.
Right now, his last 8 games, he's averaging 29.8 points per game, so 30 points per game.
Mm-hmm.
At a 52% field goal percentage.
Huge.
7 rebounds and 8 assists. Yeah. So
I mean, we're getting the best. Some of the best versions of LeBron, of KD. We've got the reigning MVP over in Jokic still doing his thing. Steph Curry's breaking records.
Yep.
And the Greek Freak, I believe Milwaukee's on an 8 or 9 game winning streak right now as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Who's your early season MVP, Big J?
Man, I got to go with the guy, man. I got to go with Kevin Durant. I mean, I know at the end of the day, LeBron is always going to be in conversation. Steph Curry is going to be in a conversation. But the way the East is going to shape out, I got to go with, Kevin Durant. He's leading the league in points. I don't see anything slowing that down. They're only going to get better.
Right.
My close number two will be, the man that we mentioned earlier, but Steph Curry, man, it's right there. Another name I want to throw out there just to throw it out. I mean, it may not mean anything, but, Treyyoung. Treyyoung is in that conversation as well as far as points leaders in the NBA. He's having a great season. They're not in the mix quite yet. They're still fighting
for that playoff
I think they're around 11.
That's probably what's going to hold him back.
Right.
From, being in that top 5 conversation for right now, at least.
But just a guy to, throw out there, man. Definitely for sure, Treyyoung. But Kevin Durant, man, Steph Curry, LeBron. These guys are the greats, man. It's a great time, man. It's a great time to be a basketball fan,
right?
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, not necessarily a great time to be some other players in the league, though. There's a couple players, couple all-stars right about now that are frustrated with their teams.
Yep.
Talk to me a little more about maybe Dame Lillard, maybe Cat. A couple of these guys might not be on the same teams very much longer. I mean,
I know I mentioned it my first show on, and karlanthonytowns, being frustrated, and I think what I said was, when is it going to be time that the Minnesota Timberwolves, flip that switch and become a contender in the West? And I feel you, Cat. You add D'Angelo Russell and Anthony Edwards. And you got these young guys, these young core building players, and you're still losing games, and you're changing coaches, and I feel this pain. I don't know what they need to do. You bring in Pat Beverly as a veteran point guard that gives you some toughness. I don't know. I don't know what you do. Right now they're sitting ninth in the
West, which is still right on the bubble.
Yep.
But one thing I will say is, outside of maybe the top 6 or 7 teams, the West is vulnerable.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Minnesota can easily slide into there.
Yeah, I mean, right now you got, the Nuggets,
teetering, battering all types of injuries.
Right.
But my thing is, personally, when it comes to Cat, I don't think he has that leadership mentality.
I got you.
Personally, no matter where Cat gets moved to, until he steps up and takes that leadership role, that I want to be the guy mentality, that Mamba mentality, if you will, until he gets that under his belt, it really doesn't matter where he goes. I'm not a firm believer in Cat's.
You don't think he's a number one?
Yeah.
You think he's a good complementary player?
I think he has the ability to be a number one. Yeah. He just doesn't have that mentality.
I feel that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's still young. You know, these young guys. You know, we expect so much from them coming out of the. You know, playing 1 year in college. You come to the league and you always end up on a bad team, and it takes a couple years to get that team to a place where you know they're in contention.
And to be honest, I believe, and here's a couple numbers that I actually just heard the other day. The Minnesota Timberwolves are actually last in the league by far in rebounding, defensive rebounding specifically.
Yeah.
I don't think KAT brings that toughness and that defensive mindset that a championship or even a contending team should have.
Yeah, he's more known as an offensive, you know, offensive minded four. You know, can stretch the floor, can play at the free throw line and down. But yeah, he's not known for his defense. It's not like Anthony Davis.
So until he gets that defensive mentality and prowess, I don't see him making any team that much better.
That's probably why they brought in Patrick Beverley, you know, a guy that, you know, is known for his defense to maybe help out. But, you know, you mentioned Damian Lillard being another disgruntled veteran and you know.
And now he's somebody that can go get it. He's somebody that can get it done.
We've seen it.
But why isn't Portland bringing him pieces is my question.
Yeah, man, you sit there and you look at that roster and it's really hasn't changed much. You know,
Not at all.
You know, and you got the McCollums and, you know, you got the guys that they've been there for years. But
their biggest free agency signing this offseason is Larry Nance Jr. All right?
Yeah.
So if you're not doing anything to keep this guy happy, if I'm Dame, I want out.
Yeah, you know, a guy, you know, the rumors been circulating, you know, around the trade spectrum with the NBA and, you know, the guy that's still out there that's, you know, disgruntled himself is Ben Simmons, and the reports were saying that Damian Lillard has, you know, said that he wants to play with Ben Simmons, which, you know, if you really think about it, Dame's known for his scoring and his, like you said, he can get a bucket here and there, you know, and with Ben Simmons, that bring that playmaking ability, that length, that defense. It could be a good, you know, that could be a good mix. It might not be
a bad fit.
Maybe that's what they need to take that next step, you know.
And the only problem with that is, once again, this point in time, Philly, knowing that Ben Simmons wants to leave, somehow still asking for too much. Apparently, they want C.J. McCollum. They want some type of combination of Nasir Little, which is a nice young talent,
young piece,
and at least a draft pick or two. And that's just too much to ask for a guy that doesn't even want to be there.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. They kind of outrageous, man. The asking price. I understand. Yeah, he's an all-star level player. You know. He brings the defense. You know, he's young, but come on, the asking price for this guy after the performance he put on the playoffs last season. I mean, I think they kind of lost their.
It's almost safe to say he's unworthy of that asking price.
Almost, man. It's wild, man. It's wild.
It's tough.
Yep.
All right, so we told you we're going to change it up a little bit. So we're going to touch back into football, if you don't mind. Got Big J still over there holding down the Kobe corner.
Here, baby.
All right, but we brought another special guest on the show. We got a fantasy football guru, if you will. All right. He's a team builder, whether it's youth soccer teams, stocks in the market that he's trading, or you know, just building a fantasy football team. My man can flip a house almost as fast as he flips a fantasy football team. My man is that much of a champion at this point in time, defending champion, multi-league, multi-year fantasy football. I'd like to bring my man Logan onto the show, man. Thanks for joining the show, bro.
Welcome aboard, brother. It's my arch nemesis, folks.
Arch nemesis, man. Hey, man, I know you a fantasy football guru, if you will, but I mean, we're going to touch on a little NFL, if you don't mind, right? You got a specific team in the NFL or in football in general that you like?
So my favorite team is Miami Hurricanes, obviously. And
Hurricane, man. Okay.
They're not doing too good right now, but I believe we got a new coach and things are going to change. But my favorite player with them is Devinhester.
Okay.
I feel like
that's your all-time favorite Hurricane?
All time. I mean, there's numerous players to choose from, but Devinhester is my favorite.
Okay.
Just from being a kid, when I was sitting at the stadium and stuff like that, I would see him take touchdowns to the house.
Yeah.
And he was just difference making to me.
Yeah, he's electric, right? Yeah.
Is it safe to say that he's a Hall of Famer, a Hall of Fame level player, like with his return ability and what he did for the game?
I mean, you're not going to get an argument out of me. I think he is probably the best return player ever in history, personally.
Yeah, I think it's tough to put a returner in the Hall of Fame, but I think he's deserving.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
very much so. Very much so. I mean, you got any specific players, hurricanes in the NFL that you like nowadays?
So currently, right now, my team is, since I'm from Miami, so I like Miami Hurricanes. They're going to the Miami Dolphins.
Okay.
Right now is Jalen Phillips. There's a good little backstory behind him. He had multiple concussions, and then he got into a car crash, broke his hand, and he ended up retiring from football. And he was number 1 overall recruit also. He ends up retiring from football, becomes a producer and stuff like that. He weighs like 170 pounds, and Miami ends up recruiting him, telling him to come over for a year. Wow. And he changes his whole career. He ends up being the number 15 pick to the Dolphins, and right now he's killing it.
Yeah, he is killing it. It seems like that entire Miami Dolphins defense is playing good. The entire team is playing good, if you ask me. 5 straight wins. It looks like they got what should be an easy win this week against the Jets, maybe stretch it to 6. How you feel about these Miami Dolphins and, maybe their playoff chances?
So I think the Dolphins are overrated right now. I think they have the defense, but they don't have the offense. They don't have a running game, and they don't have a deep threat. Tua's just not taking the shots. He's being too safe.
I think Jay Money mentioned that last week, that they definitely need to address the running game in this offseason, right?
Sure, man. Got a bunch of good running backs coming out in the draft. Maybe they can get one of them. But yeah, I agree. Having a deep threat. They signed Will Fuller in the offseason to a 1-year prove it deal. Thinking he was going to be the field stretcher and allow to stretch the field and get Jalen Waddle. But he hasn't played pretty much all year. But they are they're killing it right now, man. The young defense is stepping up. Tua's playing pretty well, so far.
And this is just me going out on a limb. Jay Money and I have spoke a couple times about this whole Will Fuller situation, and we feel like Will Fuller was just bait to try to get Deshaun Watson over there. And at this point in time, Will Fuller hasn't played all season because he's not happy with what's over there. I feel like he was probably one of the main ones trying to push for Deshaun Watson, right? And try to make that connect that they had in Houston, but it's just not panning out for Will Fuller, and his connection with the Dolphins. And it doesn't even look like they're going to end up with, Deshaun Watson at this point in time.
The asking price for Deshaun Watson was a little bit too much, a little bit too high. I think, knowing that, as an Eagles fan, the Dolphins did give up one of their first-round picks to the Eagles to move up in the draft to take Jalen Waddle.
So you can't be too happy about them playing good right now at all.
I thought that pick was going to be a little bit lower in the standings, so we can probably get a possible top 10, and now it's looking like it's going to be outside. But the player that they drafted this year, Jalen Waddle, I believe it was with the number 6 pick in the draft. I think in the beginning of the season, I know me personally, I was kind of like, Jalen Waddle, like,
right?
I was kind of like, was that the right pick as a speed wide receiver, that early in the first round. But I have to say, I was wrong. Jalen Waddle's single-handedly changed that offense. Right now he's got 86 receptions, 849 yards, and 4 touchdowns. And that's, for a rookie, that's a great season. If the season ended today and they still have 4 more games left, he can end up putting a really good season together, Jalen Waddle.
Yeah. I still think you might still be wrong with Jalen Waddle.
Oh, here we go. This guy.
He's the only wide receiver in town, man. He's getting all the receptions, but once they bring another wide receiver, I think he's going to fall behind.
I mean, you got Devontae Parker. You got other guys in the mix, but, I agree. I wasn't the biggest Jalen Waddle fan.
It's a valid point, man, because Devontae Parker really hasn't played much this season either, right? And obviously you mentioned Will Fuller not being there. So, that's a good point, man. He's getting all these targets specifically because he is the only receiver in town.
I'm personally big on breakout age. In college, you have to get a target share in college over 20%.
Yeah. When
you first come in, he had a late breakout, and he left his 4th year. I think he's going to be a good wide receiver, but he'll never be number 1.
Yeah, that is true. He was a late breakout. He also was, had an ankle injury, his last year in college. That's what, those are the things that kind of like made me take a step back. It's like, you really traded up to take him.
They reached.
I thought it was a reach, but you can't say, you have to say he's putting on a good performance this year. He's surprising us as a rookie and as a wide receiver. Normally rookie wide receivers, take a little bit of time, as we've seen with some guys.
Unless your name's Jamar Chase.
That's
right?
name is Jamar Chase. And Devontae Smith, by the way, man. He's having a great year as a rookie as well. But this whole rookie class,
Mister, I always got to get my Eagles.
Gotta get my Eagles in there.
Hey, man. So, hey, look, Jalen Waddle's playing great. I mean, we've talked about this Tua effect and you know, him possibly being good, but not great. Yeah. I mean, how do we feel about these Miami Dolphins? And are they in contention? I mean, obviously they're in contention, but do they really stand a chance of, you know,
they played a lot of bad
some teams this year?
I think the teams they played, they've been real lucky. They played the Jets. They played their schedules. It's easy. I feel like it's going to start getting a little harder.
They beat the Giants without Daniel Jones.
Without Dan Jones.
Make sure we mention that.
Without Sterling Shepard. There was a few other guys they missed, I believe, too.
The defense kind of beat up on Cam the week before. So I think a couple people have mentioned it, man. They haven't really beat, you know, playoff teams. So, I mean, that's a valid point.
I mean, they're on a 5-game winning streak. The defense is playing well. Xavier Howard on the outside. He's a shutdown corner, you know.
Yeah. Hopefully they don't mess around and get smacked in the mouth this week by the Jets.
As an Eagles fan, knowing we have their first round pick, sign me up, man. I don't want them to make the playoff if it's me. I apologize, but that's just me.
I mean, even if they do make the playoffs, it looks like they're going to be playing one of these heavy hitters that are, you know, starting to get it rolling. I mean, let's talk about these Kansas City Chiefs right about now. They're getting it rolling, right? 6 straight. They're actually in contention for the best record in the AFC at this point in time, right?
They're back at the top, man. They're back where we all thought they were. You know, early in the season, we were questioning, like, oh, have they lost a step? You know, can they compete? Cream rises to the top. I said it before. I'll say it again. You know, Patty Mahomes back. I mean, they trounced the Las Vegas Raiders this week. 48-9. You know, Patty Mahomes, 2 touchdowns. Clyde Edwards-Helaire. Two touchdowns on the ground, and there's one player that got into the end zone that we haven't seen in a while.
Josh Gordon.
Gordon got in the end zone now. Hey, we've been waiting on him. We knew he was there.
We've been waiting on Josh Gordon. Yeah. It was a little 1-yard touchdown, but hey, it was good to see him get in, right? It was. But a name that you mentioned that, you know, it seems like some people just kind of like let it fade, man. But Clyde Edwards-Helaire, their starting running back, when they lost him, they, you know, we wondered, you know, if it was going to affect them, right? And seemingly so, because they went on a little stretch where they lost some games, and now that they got the run game back, guess what? Kansas City right back on top. Makes sense.
He brings that versatility, man. Like I said before, you know, he brings that pass catching ability. He can run between the tackles. There's somebody on this show that is not a big fan of Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and I know he's gonna have his speech and his spiel. So go ahead.
No, when you're small and you're slow, you run a 4.6, and your 4th year breakout in college, you're just. I feel like anybody running back can go in that system. I never doubted the Chiefs anyways. I felt like without him, they're gonna go on a win streak anyways.
This all may be true. You know, this guy is a numbers guy. He's deep into analytics. He hates Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
You can't be small and slow.
He doesn't like
small and slow.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
But they're rolling, man. They got next up. You know, like you said, the Chargers are right there. They're 1 game out. And Thursday night football. What do we have? Chargers versus Chiefs.
Head to head.
Could be for the division. You know,
I mean, right now it's for the division.
For the division.
I mean, for the lead in the division. Huge Thursday night game.
Yep.
One other division that we have to mention is this AFC North division, man, with the Ravens, the Steelers, Cincy, and Cleveland.
Yep.
What's going on over there, man? I talked about the questionable play call.
You did.
Last week.
Yep.
I didn't like it, John Harbaugh. Now guess what? Cleveland beats Baltimore, pulled it within a game of the division, right? And guess what? Now Lamar Jackson is hurt as well.
Yep.
Ankle injury. I mean, what do we got going on over there?
Tough, man. I watched the show last week, and you know, shout out to Joey and Jay Money. I know you guys mentioned, you know, that play, and like you brought up, and I believe it was Joey that said it, man. It's like, you know, if the play worked, he's a hero. You know, unfortunately, it didn't work, but it didn't work. It wasn't like it was just it was just off by a little bit. Like it's like you guys said, it's a game in inches, man. At the end of the day, yeah, Lamar Jackson's out. That sucks. But Tyler Huntley came in and he looked good. He looked like a, you know, for lack of a better term, poor man's Lamar Jackson. Unfortunately, they did lose 24-22 to the Browns, who are now second in the division. One game out. Cincinnati's still there. Pittsburgh is still hanging around. Could the Baltimore Ravens miss the playoffs?
And that's where I'm at right now.
Are you calling it?
I'm calling it.
Wow.
Baltimore Ravens are definitely going to lose the hold of this division.
Mm-hmm.
And they are going to have to fight to get in these playoffs.
Okay.
All right. I'm calling it. Last 4 games of the season, you got the Packers.
Yep.
You got Cincy.
Mm-hmm.
You got Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Pittsburgh.
Wow.
2 of them division games.
That's a tough stretch.
Possibly no Lamar Jackson.
Possibly no, yeah.
Hey, man. I don't know. I'm scared for these Baltimore Ravens right about now.
If Lamar Jackson plays, they're going to win the division.
If Lamar Jackson plays, they're going to win the division.
The reports came out that he avoided a high ankle sprain.
Yeah,
so
it's a low ankle sprain, I believe.
It's a low ankle sprain, so maybe a week.
But you're going to get Lamar at nowhere near 100% for the rest of the season.
Right. It's tough, man. It's a tough call. That's a big call,
I think
man.
that defense is going to play.
I'm not going to go on record to say they won't make the playoffs, but I think they lose that division.
Okay.
I'm going to go on record to say that.
Okay. So who wins the division? I think in 2 weeks they play Kansas City, so that's another game.
And obviously, like I mentioned, they have a battle with Baltimore heads up in a couple weeks as well. Yep. So I said it earlier in the season that I didn't think these Bengals were, didn't have the experience enough and they were too young, but I'm going to retract on my statement and I'm going to say these Bengals somehow pull out this division.
Wow, that's a big call.
Yeah, I'm going with that one there.
I like it. I do like it. I like Cincinnati Bengals fan, I like what they got going on. I like the young pieces. Jamar Chase, of course, we talked about him numerous of times. Probably going to win the Rookie of the Year. Joe Burrow's playing good football when he's good. He plays bad football when he's bad.
Yeah.
But as long as he can stay consistent, as long as they can keep Joe Mixon involved. I know this week Joe Mixon had a terrible game. They couldn't get him going. I like it. I still like the Browns, man. I still like the Browns. Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett. Baker Mayfield's playing solid football. They got the running game with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Jarvis Landry's involved. Yeah, David Njoku once he comes back.
Kareem Hunt did take an injury this week as well.
He did.
So we've mentioned that before, that Kareem Hunt is a big part of their offense. So you lose Kareem Hunt, you.
I do like the Browns, man. The defense, the secondary, the front four.
Okay, so I like this. This lineup that we got out here is torn in the AFC North. Logan's still going with the Ravens.
Yeah, with the Browns. The Browns and Cincinnati will always find a way to let you down. That's what I believe.
This is true.
So it's either, I think it's going to come out to be the Ravens or Pittsburgh.
I think this is a different Browns team, man. I think it's different. The swagger, the Odell Beckham factor is gone. Baker's allowed to get loose a little bit, get Jarvis Landry involved. You got Austin Hooper and David Njoku. That defense, Denzel Ward on the outside. Man, with the 2 edge rushes for Clowney and Garrett, they're a real deal. They constantly, they're scrappy. They're winning games, close games. Shout out to the Browns, man.
Shout out to the Browns, man. Look out for Cincy, man. And, hopefully Lamar Jackson plays and, Baltimore can somehow get it together. It should be a good finish, to say the least. Another quarterback, though, that we're a little scared of at this point in time in that AFC, that I believe he has turf toe. But you got to watch out for Josh Allen. It seems like the Bills are already on a little bit of a slide, right? And at this point in time, Josh Allen could be, could miss some time possibly, even if he doesn't, he's not 100%. How do you feel about your original Super Bowl pick, Big J?
I did.
The Buffalo Bills, man.
Time tells all, folks.
You need to retract your statement at all?
Time tells all. This Buffalo team is bad right now. They don't run the ball. They're relying too much on Josh Allen. He's carrying that team too much. Is on his shoulders. You lost Tre'Davious White to ACL tear. He's gone for the year. So the defense just got worse. This last game, I think they had 7 rushes from actual running backs.
Right.
7 rushes.
And I don't believe any of them came till late because,
Late
as
in
a
the
matter
game.
of fact, there was no designed rush for a running back for the first time in over 20 years.
It's
in
wild.
the first half for the Buffalo Bills.
That is wild to me. I mean, like I always say, man, at this time of year, when it starts to get cold and it's and snowing and it's playoff time, you got to be able to run the ball. You can't have your quarterback, your $1 million quarterback, top tier money, run the ball and get beat up, play after play, game after game.
Their first design running play was in the third quarter, and that was for Josh Allen. They don't trust their run, man. And they proved it the week before in New England when they refused to run the ball, right? And they were trying to force it in the wind, right? And then now they come back with this performance this week. It's a little disappointing.
It's wild to me, man. It's wild to me. I don't get it. They lost grasp of that division. Shout out to J Money, man. The New England Patriots look like they're just gonna run away with the division.
Yeah.
And
2 games ahead at this point in time.
Yeah, it's sad. I might have to go back in the lab and look at some numbers, man, to give you guys another AFC contender, man. But
all right, well, do you feel like we'll swap over to the NFC, man? You feel like your Bucks pick is, there was a heck of a thriller between the Bucks and the Bills.
Bucks and Bills actually played each other.
Obviously, Josh Allen put it all on his back, but your Super Bowl pick, the Bucks and the Bills played each other this past week.
Bucks, man. Tom Brady, man. Brady magic.
GOAT.
What we talked about weeks ago was, once they start getting healthy, you start getting the guys back that they were missing early in the season. Gronkowski's addition has been wonders. That connection with Brady and Gronk is great. You still got Mike Evans is right now tied with the number 1 in touchdowns with 11. Chris Godwin is doing work.
Yeah, please don't forget about their leading reception.
Leading receiver with Chris Godwin. Right now we thought that, Antonio Brown was going to be the icing on the cake. That's clearly not the case. This is a really good cake with or without Antonio Brown. Mm-hmm. I still like the Bucks, man. That division is they still got some games left, with the Saints and still got to fight whatever, Carolina decides to do. But, Atlanta's, starting to put things together. But right now, the Bucks, man, I still like the Bucks.
Okay. I mean, I like the Bucks too, personally. Mm-hmm. Obviously, that was my Super Bowl pick, and I'm not going back on that.
Yep.
But there is some stiff competition in the NFC nowadays, man. Mm-hmm. We saw a couple good games on Sunday night and Monday night, but one game that impressed me the most, man, and I hate to say this as a Giant fan, but man, them Cowboys defense came to play, man. Those guys are impressive right about now, aren't they?
Yeah, man. That defense is wild. You saw from Micah Parsons, I know we mentioned him a lot on the show. Randy Gregory got involved. He got a tip interception. But man, and J Money, shouts to him, man. Treyyoung Diggs, man. Still
putting the league on notice, right?
That Cowboys
we all
defense
know now.
It's scary to think with that offense at max capacity, with that defense rolling, what that team can look like, man. It's kind of scary in a way, man. Micah Parsons right now has 12 sacks, 75 tackles, and 17 tackles for loss. He's definitely in the conversation. Rookie of the year.
Record for sacks in a season held by Javon Curse, 14 and a half.
Yeah. He's
going to shatter that, isn't he? I think so. I don't see why not.
Speaking of numbers guy, this guy coming out of college, I think he ran into the low 4.3s. Yeah. He's a middle linebacker, and they move him to the edge, and what he's been able to do has been literally team changing. That changed that whole defense.
Yeah.
It's wild. Cowboys, they almost lost the game, honestly. Mm-hmm. But I think Dak got back together. They were missing Tony Pollard. One guy we got to talk about, and we'll talk about him later, is Ezekiel Elliott. I don't know where he is, but
I think the defense is holding them down right now, but the offense is about to come alive.
Okay,
because they got Amari Cooper that's slowly getting healthy coming off COVID.
Okay,
CeeDee Lamb is good, and then they got
Michael Gallup back.
They got Gallup back
ago.
too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Zeke's gonna slowly get healthy. I think their offense is gonna change things. They're a team that always lets you down at the end too, but I feel like this could be a different year.
Okay.
So
Actually, yeah, Zeke is dealing with something right now. It has to be. I mean, I think he had 2 100-yard rushing games early in the year. And since then, he hasn't even sniffed 100 yards. So
teams got to choose whether they're going to shut down Zeke or they're going to shut down the wide receivers. So can't do both.
Yeah, right now with him a little banged up and Pollard out, I mean, it's a little easier for teams to game plan against them right about now. You don't have to worry about the running game as much. So,
and the division's still up for grabs, believe it or not, man. You know, shout out to the Eagles, man. We're still in it. You know, right now we're 6-7. Tied with the Washington football team. And it's all division games from here on out.
Yeah.
You know, Cowboys still have to play Arizona. You know, that's going to be a tough game for them. You know, Eagles, we play Washington twice. We play the Giants, and then we play the Cowboys. So, division's still up for grabs. Don't sleep on us.
Listen.
Sleep on us.
I know the Giants ain't winning the division, but neither are those Eagles.
But what do you, as an Eagles fan, who do you want? You want Hurts or do you want...
Yeah, man. It's. I was asked that question a couple of days ago. Actually, man. It's glad you brought it up. I think Jalen Hurts has shown enough to warrant another year. Let's give him another year to see if he's the guy. Gardner Minshew's been playing well. He played well 2 weeks ago against the Jets. But we know what Gardner Minshew is. You know, he'll have ups, he'll have downs. I'm not going to be the one to say it's time to let Gardner be the starting quarterback. I'm still behind Jalen Hurts 100%. I'm a Hurts guy, man. I think continue to get him more weapons, get him more stability, and we're finally running the ball. So I'm Jalen Hurts, man. Until I get proven otherwise, I'm still Jalen Hurts guy.
Okay. I mean, looks like the Cowboys, I believe, are going to win that division, and we're going to basically base it off their defense. Some of the other teams that really dominated this past week, you like to touch more on like Green Bay and what they did to the division rival Bears on Sunday Night Football, or what these Rams in this shootout with Arizona the other night. I mean, look, man, those are the real top tier teams. Why don't you tell me what you think about these past games?
Yeah, man. I mean, Green Bay is going to Green Bay, man. Aaron Rodgers is healthy. They're going to be great. Devontae Adams is great. One thing I do want to mention and ask, as I'm watching the game, I'm noticing that A.J. Dillon is in there a lot more often. And I was actually looking at it, and A.J. Dillon actually outtouched Aaron Jones. So are we seeing a switch in a philosophy, maybe getting A.J. Dillon more involved in a run game?
I think it's thunder and lightning.
Okay.
And I believe as it gets colder, they're going to run more Dillon. People don't want to tackle him.
Yeah, he's a big boy, man.
I feel like they could be the Super Bowl contenders.
Yeah, man.
I think they could win it with Aaron Rodgers. They've always been so close, and they've always missed it.
Yeah.
They're right there.
I like that call. I mean, the defense is playing well. The defense actually now complements the offense. We know, Aaron Rodgers against the Bears. I mean, he just dominates the Bears. They smashed them 45-30. Justin Fields looked good. I like Justin Fields.
Justin Fields is quick.
He is.
Oh, man, that guy is fast, man. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough, against the dominant Green Bay.
Yep.
I definitely, you touched on it actually a couple shows back, and, we continue to touch on it, that this running game is what's going to count come these late months. And I think that's really what Green Bay is trying to do right now, is incorporate that running game a little more. So they could be ready and prepared for these playoffs. So it looks like they're looking to make a championship run, man.
They have everything, man.
They got all the pieces they need. I mean, is that your Super Bowl pick? And you like the Green Bay Packers to win the Super Bowl this year?
I like them.
Okay. Hey, I'm not mad at that at all.
Nobody's really picking them, but I like them. They have everything.
And you like them over the Rams, even though they just got done beating Arizona. That is a very big implication playoff game, right?
Yeah, man. That division's still up for grabs.
It sure is. Now the Rams only a game behind the Cardinals for the division.
And we finally saw the Rams team that we thought we were going to see weeks ago. They finally come back to life. Odell Beckham's now involved.
Yes, sir.
Got involved early, scored a touchdown. They think about the Rams, what makes this win even that much more impressive is, losing to COVID, Darrell Henderson and Tyler Higbee.
Jalen Ramsey early in the day. Like, it wasn't even like they had weeks to prepare for this. They,
they had the game plan, and Sean McVay had to whip something together literally hours before the game, and you know, it could be scary. We finally saw that defense step up.
And they had the adversity, even without those pieces, to still get it done against what was the best team in the NFC, right?
Yeah, that defense finally stepping up. Aaron Donald is playing amazing football. He just kept getting pressure. I was watching that game, man. Kept getting pressure on Kyler Murray. And I don't know what it is. I mean, I know he was dealing with some kind of injury, but Kyler Murray just doesn't look like the Kyler Murray that we're used to. I mean, he's overthrowing people, missing throws. He's I don't know. I can't call it, man, but
I personally think it was just the time that he missed. He's got to get back in the groove. And to be honest with you, I'm not a Cardinals fan, but if I were a Cardinals fan, I'm hoping that he's getting these ugly games out right now, before the playoffs. So, sometimes in basketball, you try to get all your bricks out before the game starts, right? So, hey, maybe that's what he's trying to do, get all these kinks out before the playoffs.
It's going to be scary, man, once that team actually starts to come together, man, with the defense, with Von Miller and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey all healthy and all doing their thing together. It's scary what they're going to be able to do, man. That's another team, along with Green Bay, like you said, and Tampa Bay, as we mentioned.
And, man, how do you even mention all those superstars on that team without talking about this guy, Kupp?
Oh, man,
Yo, I mean, he's on pace to break the all-time receiving yards record, correct? I mean,
he is.
I mean, you watching Cooperkupp lately? You guys watching Cooperkupp?
I'm watching him, and I'm like to mention what Logan always tells me when we were talking football is, why can't they double team him? Why can't they triple? They are, and he's still finding his way to get open. I mean, right now, this man is currently in hold of the Triple Crown. He's got number 1 in receptions with 113. He's number 1 in receiving yards with 1,489. And he's tied with number 1 in receiving touchdowns with 11 with Mike Evans. I mean, this guy is literally playing out of his mind. You literally cannot stop him. He's open. Even when he's covered, he's open. He's right now, you could be in consideration with, MVP of the league. Thanks. I mean, that team is not where they are without Kupp.
I 100% agree.
I think it's safe to say that.
I 100% agree, man. The numbers that guy is putting up, man.
Yeah.
Hey, look out for a historic season, guys.
Yeah.
But speaking of numbers, man, let's get to where my man Logan likes to body people, man. You want to touch on a little fantasy football, man? How your fantasy football team's doing? Let's switch over to the fantasy football segment of this show.
So my team's. I'm number 1 in every division. I play with all these guys. In every single league, I'm number 1. But I feel like it's a building process. It's not just a 1-year thing. It takes years to build. And you can't be afraid to trade. Even if a player goes down like Christian McCaffrey, you always have somebody else to step up. That's what's big to me. And I feel like a lot of people miss on that. They think they're a contender, and they lose an elite player, and now they have nothing. And that's what I feel a lot of people miss out on.
I have to say, let me put it on record, man. Coming from me, this might be huge. But this guy right here, sitting in the middle, Mamba in the middle right now, is one of the best, like, JDino said earlier, team builders. What he's able to do. And, we all been playing fantasy football for years together. And we play dynasty fantasy football where, you draft a team and you keep this team for, forever. And, you make trades and we do rookie draft pickups and stuff like that. And that's how we make our teams better. But what this guy is able to do with trading and taking guys from this team and putting them on his and it's mind blowing. I still to this day can't understand why people still deal with him looking at the teams that he's built. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's all to pay homage to him. He still has a long way to go to topple me. But, at the end of the day, his team building skills, he is a guru. He is able to see things and see players before they get, to that next level. He's able to get a hold of them and put them on his team.
Well, you guys got to tell them where I came from. I used to be the guy that would not show up the drafts.
Yeah. Like I said, folks, he's a numbers guy. He's...
Dynasty changed everything for me. Redraft is fun and all, but Dynasty is a different game.
Yeah, man, it's so fun, man. Those of you that aren't involved in a Dynasty league, I highly suggest you guys get involved in a Dynasty league. It's so much fun, especially with these guys. Like I said, we've been doing this thing literally since 2007. We started a league together. our first keeper league. And I think it's, great to finally get involved into this fantasy, to start talking about it because, this is our season's over. Now we're into the playoffs.
You're talking about these playoffs. It's week 1 of the fantasy football playoffs. I mean, you mentioned you at the top of your leagues. I mean, what players have helped get you there? What moves have you made in the offseason that have helped build your team to what it is today?
I've made so many moves, man. One guy that's gotten me here right now is Jonathan Taylor. I pretty much rode him into the playoffs because I lost Christian McCaffrey. I lost Saquon. But how I was able to get Jonathan Taylor and Saquon and Christian McCaffrey, I got those guys to the draft. I traded for those guys. I traded for picks. So I get young running backs, and then I usually go older wide receiver. That's just my philosophy and stuff like that.
I mean, it definitely, wide receivers do tend to have a longer play life than running backs.
And once they hit, they're usually more likely to go into that top 24 again. Once they're a top 24 wide receiver, they're usually more likely to come back. So I like to get those old wide receivers that's done it before.
Very true. Very true. Because a lot of times, the quarterback, deciphers, wide receiver play. So that's a very true stat. But I mean, number 1 in your league, going into the fantasy football playoffs, week 1. I mean, you bringing home any championships this season? I mean,
I think I'm coming home with at least one.
At least one.
We're in 3 leagues. I'm in first place in every division. I think I'm coming home with at least one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Minimum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
At least one. I mean, you probably got some stiff competition, I'm sure, right? But what players, do you feel like are going to get you there? I mean, obviously you mentioned Jonathan Taylor, but any sleepers you might want to mention that might get you there?
So I have, like I said, I have Jonathan Taylor. My other running backs, I have, in certain leagues, I have Chubb. I think he's going to come along with Hunt getting hurt.
That's huge.
I have Austin Eckler. He's a little banged up. I need him to play this Thursday.
Yeah. I
also have Alvin Kamara in those leagues, and he came back and he dominated his last game.
Yeah.
I feel like that was a game changer for me. I needed him to come back.
Yeah. Definitely a game changer for your team. And this specific league, the Alvin Kamara edition, definitely takes your team to another level. All those guys, and you mentioned Austin Eckler, he did sustain like some kind of ankle injury during the game, and they do play Thursday night. So that's something to look out for those Austin Eckler owners. Keep a lookout and see if he actually plays or not, man. It's a tough turnaround to play, on Sunday, then have that short turnaround to play on Thursday. These are the times that we need these guys, to step up and play.
Yeah, these are the times we focus on that injury report heavily, right? Day after day. Any matchups that you like? Any players that you think could go off in this first week of the fantasy football playoffs, Big J?
Yeah, man. I mean, I like a guy that, we talked about him a lot, is Javonte Williams, man. But pretty much, I'll say it this way. The Denver Broncos backfield, the running backs. I mean, Javonte Williams, Melvin Gordon in general, man. I think you could ride these guys all the way to the playoffs. If you have both, you can start them both. If you have one, you can start one. It doesn't really matter. They get the ball enough. They touch the ball enough. Javonte Williams in the passing game, what he's able to do is great. Being a rookie, his stats alone, he's having a great year. Right now, he has 1,022 total yards. That's, rushing and receiving. He has 34 receptions and he has 6 touchdowns. So, ride Javonte Williams. Another guy I like is Cordero Patterson, man. I mentioned him a couple weeks ago when I was on the show. Cordero Patterson is quietly putting together a fantasy season that only so many people can do, with
at age 30 as well.
At age 30, with over 500 yards rushing, over 500 yards receiving, and also 10 touchdowns.
Usually players like him fall off and he just keeps going. It's crazy.
Going. He's always been that gadget player.
Who knew? As Bernie would say, right? Who knew?
Clearly I did, because I got him. But
Patterson is doing something crazy right now. I haven't seen that from somebody pick up off the waiver wire.
We haven't. I mean, I got him for free in one of my leagues. I got him, picked him up off the waiver wire, and I got a guy that I'm just going to ride to hopefully another championship, which will make 3 in this particular league. And another guy I just want to throw out there is a super dart throw. We mentioned the Bills earlier. A guy I like, if Josh Allen's going to throw the ball 50 times and you lose Emmanuel Sanders, why not throw Gabriel Davis out there?
It's a nice young sleeper.
He's a wide receiver. young wide receiver. We've seen splashes. He's has last year's rookie year, he had high touchdowns. So let's get Gabriel Davis involved. Could be a guy, to throw back into your roster if you're dealing with an injury, if you're dealing with whatever the case may be. That Gabriel Davis, these are guys that I like, man.
Nah, I like it. And it's funny you touched on how Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon ran the ball and how they effectively been running the ball, but they ran the ball for over 200 yards total and 4 touchdowns between the two of them against the Detroit Lions, right? Watch out for James Conner this week.
James Conner.
Fantasy playoffs, watch out for James Conner. He plays the Detroit Lions this week,
man,
right?
What James Conner has been able to do, I mean, in the fantasy world, I mean, this guy was for lack of a better terms, is left for dead.
Yeah.
Nobody wanted anything to do with James Conner. Pittsburgh clearly didn't want anything to do, and clearly we were all wrong. I mean, this guy, what I saw last night, forget the rushing, what he was able to do in the receiving game, I thought that was Cooperkupp on the other side of the ball. I mean, he was in the slot, running routes like a receiver.
Catching the ball with one hand.
Hand. I mean, was it 15 touchdowns that he has now? Like,
tied with Jonathan Taylor for most in the NFL.
My goodness, man. Him along with Cordero Patterson clearly have to be maybe the fantasy most improved or fantasy sleepers of the year, man.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely my MVP in one league. That's
Shouts
for sure.
to you, man. Shouts to you.
And I'm going to hold on to him, and I'm going to run him straight through you guys for these fantasy playoffs.
Hey, I like it, man. I like it.
Another guy that I want to touch on, man, he's been doing it. We've been talking about him. But now he's starting to break records, and you got to really watch out for what Justin Jefferson is doing over there in Minnesota.
Yeah, man.
He's going to break OBJ's 2-year record for the first 2 years in the NFL. And he's going to shatter it, too. He's about 70-something yards behind him with 4 games left. So I love what Justin Jefferson's doing over there in Minnesota. Keep riding him with no Adam Thielen through these playoffs,
it's
right?
It's going to happen with no Adam Thielen. He set over 15 targets last week and 7 catches, but he's gonna break this record.
Yeah.
It hurts my soul talking about Justin Jefferson, guys. It literally hurts my soul. Again, it all goes back to the Eagles with me. Justin Jefferson, the year that he was drafted, the Philadelphia Eagles were on the clock. Okay? I'm standing up watching the draft, right? And the Eagles needed a wide receiver, right? Justin Jefferson's there. He's a slot wide receiver for the record-breaking LSU team that, everybody, all Philly fans, Eagles fans, Justin Jefferson. The commissioner comes out. The Philadelphia Eagles select Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor? Oh, so whenever we talk about Justin Jefferson, it literally hurts my soul, man, because he could have been an Eagle. Now, would he have had the career he has in Minnesota, in Philly? Who knows? But
I think that would all been dependent on Jalen Hurts.
Just seeing what he's been able to do in the NFL, it just blows my mind. Like, how do you take Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson?
Yeah.
I'll never understand it, man. But, shouts out to, Justin Jefferson,
It's been seamless, though, with Jefferson. From college to the NFL, he's doing the same exact thing. It's almost crazy.
Absolutely. That was one of the questions coming in as he was drafted was it a product development? Same thing with Jamar Chase. Was it an LSU thing or is it the player? And clearly it's the player, man. What this guy's been able to do on that team, it's amazing, man. It's amazing. Another name to mention, man, Dalvin Cook this last week, man, he ran all over the place. I rode him to a win to get myself in the playoffs.
Definitely watch out for Dalvin Cook. Actually, no Alexander Madison this week coming up as well.
Yeah, man.
I believe he was on the COVID list. So
he must have been a magician to run off the field. I thought my season was over with this guy.
Yeah.
And for him to come back, only missing 1 game, and to run the way he ran, I mean, geez.
Shout outs to Dalvin Cook, man. Shout out to, a couple of those players on Minnesota, man. Justin Jefferson, seems like the Eagles missed out on him. But if you didn't miss out on him, definitely plug him straight into your wide receiver 1 lineup.
Yep.
The Eagles were let down by by missing out on Justin Jefferson. But you got a couple players in your fantasy teams that may have let you guys down this year?
So for me, I put a lot of stock into TJ Hawkinson. And I felt like he was going to blow up this year. And I don't know if it's a quarterback, if it's a team or what, but I feel like he has everything. He can run, he can catch, he can block. I don't know if he's not getting the targets, maybe because he's injured, but he's let me down this year. I was expecting him to get into the top 5.
That's surprising. I mean, knowing that you got new quarterback with Jared Goff. Granted, the Detroit Lions aren't the greatest team, but
only weapon
with the quarterback that is not going to throw the ball deep, that's going to throw between the numbers. That's what Hawkinson does, and to see what he wasn't able to do this year, it was kind of hurtful. Knowing that he was a guy we both were high on actually, and he hasn't really.
I still believe in him though.
No, I do.
I
do. Tight ends take a little bit, to get going. But speaking of tight ends, a question I want to ask you guys is: are we seeing a shift in the tight end rankings as far as fantasy? Travis Kelce, guys, has not been the Travis Kelce that we're used to, and guys like Mark Andrews and guys like George Kittle George Kittle just came off a crazy game, a couple games.
Right.
Are we seeing a shift in our rankings going into next year, like in our dynasty rankings as far as value with these top tier tight ends?
It's tough to say, but I believe so, man. I believe there's only a few top tier tight ends that you can really trust, and even still, as much as George Kittle did when he was on the field, he can't stay on the field.
George Brittle, huh?
Yeah, George Brittle over there. And, Travis Kelce seemed to have a down season. You're disappointed in TJ Hawkinson.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with Noah Fant. I think it's the Teddy Bridgewater effect. Yep. He needs to go. Yeah. There's a lot of top tier tight ends that have been letting you down. So I think if you're not getting a top tier one that you can really, really trust, man, I think the tight end game situation is in a little bit of trouble, man.
I don't think there's a clear leader anymore. I think it comes down a little bit. Everybody's kind of in the pack. Mm-hmm. I believe Kelce, he got injured. It's kind of affecting. Did he get injured early in the year?
He's been dealing with Lil Nixon. I don't think I maybe missed one game or so, but
I think that might be affecting him. Usually he's not this bad. I don't usually see players fall off like this, especially with Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, he's still Travis Kelce, but Mark Andrews is another one that's it's been playing really well. Just wanted to ask you guys that question, but going back to the question at hand, as far as players that let us down, one player that has let me down in multiple leagues, and he is a top tier player. He was a first round draft pick in a lot of people's fantasy drafts. Is Ezekiel Elliott, man? Ezekiel Elliott has not lived up to the expectations that I had for him and that a lot of people had for him, man. I mean, I think he's had 2 games over 100 yards rushing, and he hasn't come close since. I mean, we see the offense in Dallas. I mean, I mentioned it earlier, they almost lost the game. And I think a lot has to do with, they missed Tony Pollard this week, but the running game has not been consistent since Zeke got hurt early in the year. I mean, he's one of the guys that let me down big time. But I'm still going to ride him. I mean, you still have to start him. If he's active, you still have to start Zeke.
I think it's a combination of things with Zeke. Personally, obviously the injuries, the toll that we've mentioned, Joey mentioned last week, these running backs take on a nightly basis. On top of that, no Tony Pollard this week, I think hurts as well because he's the change of pace. And if you're not getting that change of pace, then you know what you're getting out of Zeke, and you can load that box, right? So I think that contributes to his struggles lately. But I think the injuries is the biggest thing as far as, the season long.
Yep. Another player that I don't personally have, but it has to have let people down, at least these past couple weeks, is, I don't know if you guys have seen what DK Metcalf has been up to. Like I know you have DK Metcalf in the league, and Tyler Lockett has been going crazy. And where's DK?
I don't feel like DK's head is there.
It does seem that way.
It does, right? It seems like not only his head is there, but I don't feel like him and Russ have that same connection.
I was feeling that same way, man. I'm glad you said that.
There's a weird vibe that I'm getting out of Seattle, almost like, we've mentioned in the past that Russ, he might not be there next year. So it's almost kind of like he's checking out at this point in time. And when you check out, who you check out with? Your main receiver to start, right? You don't be surprised if you start seeing like little conflicts going towards the end of the season. DK is a little bit.
You see the mannerisms on the sidelines. You see, he's throwing his helmet and sitting on the bench. I mean, he is a kind of a diva wide receiver. And Tyler Lockett is really close with Russ. So he's just feeding him. But I just wanted to get your input on.
I think DK is ready to explode. He dropped there was 2 touchdown passes that could have went his way last game, and it didn't happen. I think he's.
So you're confident with DK going forward into the playoffs?
I would keep on. You can't sit him. You got to keep starting.
Well, I know for sure I'm going to keep starting him.
He can win your week, especially with our scoring and stuff like that. He can easily win your week. Okay. He can catch 1 pass for 70 yards and a touchdown.
No, that's a fact. I mean, I'm definitely not benching him. You can bet on that. But going forward, Logan, man, some of these teams that may have missed the playoffs, you know, what kind of advice and tips will you give them going into next season? Maybe make them a playoff team or even a contender going forward. I
feel a lot of people make a lot of mistakes. They either say they have too many picks. You can never have too many picks. You just keep on loading up on those. That's currency. That's what gets you the players when they're injured. That's what gets you.
It's the lifeblood of the league.
Yeah, it keeps your team moving. And also I feel like a lot of teams, they always make the same mistake. They don't shop their players around. They should shop them to the whole league. They always pick one specific person and always. Yeah. They do that,
and they always keep handing them to you, right?
Don't be afraid my other thing is don't be afraid to trade your studs. Yeah, especially if you're not a contender.
Especially if your team's not even good. Pieces, right? Yeah. You know, some future, you know, nice young core pieces for it.
And don't avoid a team just because they're top of the league. Usually those teams can pay you the most. I see a lot of people, they take less because they don't want to give to a better team. Get the most for your team. Because eventually there was a trade that I did early in the year where I traded, I thought I was going to make a push to the championship. I traded, I got Derrick Henry. I got Miles Sanders, and I traded Joe Mixon and Dobbins. But now Henry's hurt, Sanders hurt, and that's why you don't be afraid to trade to the top teams. You don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah. That's a fact.
Always try to get the most out of your.
That's true.
There should always be a plan too. If you're going to go you can't just turn something around in 1 year. It has to be multiple years, and eventually you can go after the top players.
And specifically in Dynasty, you know, because we have these teams and these players for as long as we want them, you know, sometimes it's okay to be bad because bad means you have a good draft pick, and a good draft pick means you can add a young player. You know, for example, you know, we're mentioning trading studs. You know, one of our leagues, you know, I took a step back. You know, I wanted to maybe, you know, I won a couple championships. I rode these guys, you know, as long as I could. And I wanted to, you know, refreshen things up. And one of the trades I did that I thought was, looking at it now, man, I traded Ezekiel Elliott, and I ended up getting a first-round pick in the 2020 draft. I got a first-round pick in the next coming draft in 2022, and some other pieces, but we're not going to, Jarvis Landry and Paris Campbell. But with one of those first-round picks,
Speaking of upsets, Campbell.
With one of those first-round picks, I ended up drafting Javonte Williams. Yeah. So a guy that we've been talking about this whole time that, you know, going into next year is going to be an RB1. I ended up trading Zeke and getting Javonte Williams plus other assets. So like Logan was saying is, you know, don't just give away your draft picks. This draft picks is collateral. It's the lifeblood of the league. You know, it's something that you can use to make your team better, you know?
And don't be afraid to trade your studs. I like that. Yeah. You traded Zeke and you got a guy in return that's already playing better than him, right?
There you go. That's how you do it, man.
Yeah,
you just keep adding young talent. You get rid of the old talent, add young talent, and just keep that train rolling, man.
Boy, you sure know how to flip them, huh, Logan?
There's another deal also we traded. I ended up trading Tyreek Hill. I ended up getting I ended up getting Stephon Diggs in 2 firsts. But you gotta that should not be the end game for you also. I ended up trading Stephon Diggs for T. Higgins in a first also.
Deal after the deal.
So at the end of the deal, I ended up getting T. Higgins in 3 firsts, and one of those firsts ended up going to the bottom 4.
Yep.
I feel like just because you make one deal, keep moving, man. Keep asking owners. Keep talking to them. Especially the ones that are trying to make a push. It's okay. Those are the guys that are willing to pay more. You do it at the end of the year. You trade your studs to the people that are trying to make a push.
Yep.
I like it. Hey, great football tips, man.
Yeah.
And, you know, good luck to you guys in your fantasy football leagues, you know, on your championship runs going forward. You know, we got a bunch of champions in here. So we're going to try to see if, you know, any of us could add on to them before the end of this season, right? And good luck to you guys in your dynasty leagues going forward.
Yeah, man.
All right, gentlemen. Well, that's all the time we got for today, man. My man, Logan, I appreciate all your essential advice, all your essential tips. Matter of fact, we got an essential JV shirt.
Thank you, man.
You know, I appreciate it. Joining the team, man. Appreciate all your advice, all your tips, man. And any plugs you want to tap in on?
I do have a business. We do a party rental business. We do yard cards, happy birthday signs, congrats signs, anniversary signs, baby signs. We also have bounce houses, tables, and chairs. You can go check us out at yardycards.com. Check our Facebook out, like us over there too. So
For sure. Make sure you check my man out. Fantasy football owners, listen to this guy. He know what he's talking about, man. Appreciate you joining the show, my
appreciate it,
man.
Thank you.
And Big J, as usual.
Hey, man.
Appreciate you joining the show. Thanks for holding down the Kobe Corner, my brother.
Hey, man, thank you guys for having me, man. Hey, shout out to J Money, man. Let me borrow the Kobe Corner for the show, man. I appreciate it. And all you fantasy owners out there, always remember one true rule, because I got a quote of my own. Yesterday's price is not today's price.
Nice. And thank you guys for watching, man. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube. Check us out at sportjv.com and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at sportjv1. And for everyone who's watching, man, remember, there is no elevator to success. You have to take the stairs. Thank you for watching.